Hello, and welcome to our webcast on choosing the best trades for the last half of 2010. Just the latest in a series of live events produced by Trader Planet in collaboration with well-known industry speakers. Today is Tuesday, June 29th. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon with us today. This is Darrell, your host for today's session, featuring Darrell Jobman, a senior analyst for TraderPlanet.com. Today's webcast takes place at a specific date and time, and therefore any opinions given by our presenter may change without notice at any time. Trading involves substantial risk of loss and therefore may not be suitable for all investors, and past performance is not indicative of future results. We are recording this webcast, and it will be posted on Trader Planet, so you will be able to review the material at a later time. You will also find previously recorded webcasts among our other free member education resources within our site at www.TraderPlanet.com. As one of our more revered presenters, Darrell Jobman trades his own personal account and has been involved in the financial markets for more than 40 years. A decorated Vietnam War veteran, he was a newspaper farm editor and editor of several agricultural publications before becoming an editor of Futures magazine for more than 15 years. He has written and edited more than a dozen books and courses on trading. While his passion is helping others succeed by teaching the do's and don'ts of trading, his editorial contributions to Trader Planet have really allowed him to take this objective to a whole new level. We're delighted to have him with us today. Let's give a warm welcome to our friend, Darrell Jobman.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Dara. First thing we need to do, as we always need to do when we do these, check you're able to hear me. This is coming through nice and clear, so whatever I have to say, you're able to hear it. In the lower left corner of your screen has his hand raised, and there's a little menu icon beside him. Symbol that says I agree. There's a check mark there that'll show up, indication that things are going okay, and we can move ahead into the topic that we're going to talk about today. Now we might come back to that little main question. Keep your mind where that is and what we might be able to do with that. Also on the housekeeping order of business, to tell you that for the charts comes from CRB. That's what we're using on the Vantage Point. We'll be using on the charts today. Secondly, if you have any questions, there is a little chat that if you have a question, just enter it there, and I'll try to get to those at the end. And then when we do get to the charts, whether you're doing this, I'm going to go to full screen mode to see a little more detail on the charts when we get to the charts. The topic is going to be the last half of 2010, and so far, we've had one in 2010. I suppose you could say this is like way in the flash crash on May 6th. That all of a sudden heard about British Petroleum and total environmental disaster. Or it could be somebody that has just heard their base to 62 or other things. So we've had a lot of things already go on in 2000. Kind of a couple of the overriding factors just to look at that has happened so far, and it is not going to change as I look ahead to the dominant role of good in so many different market areas. It's not really surprising the political bent of the current administration. But I think it has the potential to lead to some big problems. This is a disaster, and everybody gripes about the world going to the dogs and all that kind of thing. But I don't know that government officials really know the unintended consequences of some of their So I think that when we get to the elections, the U.S. elections, just like in general and everybody else, could affect the markets in the last half of the year. I think what we're looking at is a whole situation in Europe, the fiscal and economic crisis that they're going through there. Maybe what develops in Europe will continue to be a big market factor. So we need to look at splits and kind of talk about them a little bit, about perspective, see what has happened, and then potentially might happen based upon the indicators that we have on the charts. And I think probably the best place to start is probably one of the surprises that you see this year, or at least it's a bit surprising that if you started looking at the beginning of the year, is the advance in the U.S. dollar index. Really, what you need to do, I guess, is go back and make that, extend that year a little bit. Go back here to the really to the first part of December, so you have a few more months because that's kind of where some of the action started again. I don't know if it's time when you had the Dubai debt coming up that kind of was an indication that could even get in trouble. But whatever the case may be, for December, a dollar pretty much has been on an uptrend ever since until the last few days, last few weeks, where it has started to turn back. So I think that impact on a lot of other markets, including a lot of the commodity markets that are priced in dollars and some of the other markets. So I think from a standpoint of an important market, an important factor for all markets, it would be the U.S. dollar that has been on the rise. Now, whether it will continue, of course, are that it will remain strong simply because some of the other currencies are the best of the worst, or something to that effect. We also have due to what is happening in Q after announcing a more flexible one rate. So things get out of hand, but it remains to be seen because the yuan could now become a side of that dollar. You'll see the kind of the exact opposite. And again, in December, and you look at, kind of extend this first half of the year by a month, and you can see the euro top there, pretty much a mirror image of what has gone on in the U.S. dollar, and it has been kind of ever since then. It's kind of been fading away, bounced back a little bit recently, but still an open question as to what it will do. This is also true with the British pound, and there may be some other foreign currencies that are affected like this. I know we have problems in Eastern Europe where currencies could also be a major issue. Markets, just kind of as an overview thing, I think that the further deterioration, you've got not only Greece to deal with, all of them are facing